Okay, so this week on Chapters Over Coffee, we're going to start doing things a little different, but we'll be going over pages 169 through 236, where we get four more memories unlocked, where I believe Grimm and Isla's dislike for each other changes the closer they get. More twists and turns are happening, and the countdown is on for the 30 days. But before we go any further, let's recap. Isla starts out without knowing how to use her powers. Everything she tried wasn't working. During her coronation to fully becoming the Starling ruler, there was an attack from what we later find out are Drex. Isla was unable to use her powers no matter what she tried. Besides the attack from the Drex, Isla now has to deal with rebels wanting her dead. Isla then has to go visit Remlar, our favorite blue winged man, to unlock her powers for her, because remember in book one, we learned her nightshade powers are masking her wildling powers. From here on out, Isla needs to train so she can use her powers, but during a party of her showing the Islanders on Lightlark that she is no longer powerless and to hopefully accept wildlings coming back, there was a threat. They were told they had 30 days to leave or join the Nightshades before ruin was coming. We then end off on the Moonlings leaving and joining Nightshade, and the Oracle telling Isla her memories are the key to everything. All right, so we start off with Isla recounting her memories to Oro, telling him Grimm was looking for a sword and it's powerful. Oro wants to find out what it does. By the end of the day, Oro had dozens of people in every library and archive. And then we jump to where Isla visited her people on Wildling Newland who didn't seem surprised at the idea of war. It's been what they've always trained for. She was surprised they wanted to fight because this really wasn't their fight, because I believe it said that none of them had been on Lightlark after the curses. They had
Yeah.
already fled. So everybody there hadn't been there. Ren asked if she
Yeah.
was giving them a choice, to which Isla was. At the end, she had an entire group willing to fight. For those who didn't want to, Isla wants them to help make elixirs. But there was only a small patch of flowers left. I wonder why, like, they can't grow these flowers. Like, they can
I
spring to
wondered the same
life.
thing.
Like, they can bring to life different flowers and trees and everything, but why can't they specifically bring or like grow these flowers to help?
Yeah, I've wondered the same thing. And I wonder if we'll kind of find out why it's so rare. Maybe
Rare.
they're not able to. Maybe it's something that she might be able to do. Maybe she'll be able to bring a patch back. Um, because even for like further on and stuff, Ren tells them that they've only been able to find like a couple other patches of the flower. Like it's so rare. And
Right.
the thought occurred to me, like, why can't you grow more?
Right. Because they're supposed to like bring everything to life like that. That they would need to search every inch of the aisle for more. She let her people know that Grim was coming to destroy Lightlark. They were in a race to save thousands of lives. After she was done talking, Lynx was waiting on her. She wants to take him to Wild Isle, but with Nightshade approaching, she didn't think it was the best idea. She starts telling Lynx about the war coming, about someone she used to care about destroying the world, that he was a nightshade like her father, to which Lynx's gaze sharpened. And this brings up, does this mean anything? Like, that point, like, where his gaze sharpened, did he not like her father? Was there, like, I wish they could communicate, like, full blown, like,
Yeah.
communicate, like, they somehow can talk to each other.
Maybe he resents her and resents him because if her dad had not come around, had not fallen for Isla's mom, maybe he would still have his person, his human, his bonded. And he maybe that's why he bonded her. Like she thinks that he chose her because he was her mom's, like he needed to or whatever, even though he wasn't thrilled about it, but maybe he needs to see this through because the situation that her mom got into with having a kid, and then, you know, they were killed, he might not know that it was Tara and Poppy that fucking did it, but he might know the same story that Isla grew up knowing.
Could, yeah.
Her father killed her mom, but
I didn't know if
I
like
don't know.
maybe that
I
means
wonder if that'll play
something.
more. Yeah.
Um, there was something. What was I gonna say? I totally lost train of thought. I was gonna go like more onto that. It'll come back to me. She
I
asked
hope
him
we get a
if
little bit more information.
I know. No, no, no. Like, no, you're fine. I do like. That's why I wish they could kind of communicate like better.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe that's what's in the vault. Her mom's past life, like secrets to how her mom and dad met. Although her mom wouldn't have been on Wild Isle, I don't think, because
No. I think
because
it's
nobody in the
much
Newlands.
I think it's much older. I
Ooh,
think that it's
Violet.
definitely connected to whatever is happening underground, whatever the underbelly, whatever is like
I wonder
wreaking
if it
havoc, whatever's
has.
coming forth. I think that what if it's something that was a weapon before that helped kind of put the shit away, trap them in the underbelly, whatever. And now it's released, but there's a specific thing that has to happen in order for them to be able to use it. And she's just not ready yet.
Or I wonder if
I
it's
don't know.
something with Violet.
I think whatever's in there is old as shit. And definitely,
It would be around her time. It would be have to be around
yeah.
Violet's time. Hmm.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we find out there's only 2 episodes left.
2 episodes. We have four.
We are okay, so 3 episodes.
There's
3 episodes. This is episode
Oh wait,
4.
yes, we
No,
only have
remember we're
7. We have
mixing, yeah.
7, yes. For
7
some
and
reason
8
I
is
thought
like
there was 8.
is a two-part
They're the
is a
smaller.
two-parter. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all the
Well,
smaller
it's
ones.
yeah, so it'll be kind of big, but
Yes, there are only
it's
7
essentially going to
episodes
be
for
like
this book.
16 chapters and stuff, but they're like
1 to
one
2
pagers.
pages. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, 3 episodes. Okay, so yeah, 3 episodes, and we better fucking find shit out.
Listen, okay, and this ain't spoiling anything. Well, maybe it kind of is. I don't know if this person has read the end of the book, but I sent you that TikTok about that she had Lightlark news for the series, but she hasn't like really fully announced it. We're supposed to get no. And but I was reading some of the comments, and I don't know if it was at the end of this book or if it's at the end of the next book, but they're like, she hasn't chose yet between the two. So I don't know if they meant this book or the next book.
Are they a
If she
throuple
hasn't
now? Because do they
But
become a throuple?
if she hasn't picked by the end of book 3, come on. Put them out of their misery if that's the case. Like,
Well,
I
especially if the
doubt
one thing we found out is true. Like, girl, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
I don't think they've become a
I mean,
throuple
I guess
or a
you can, but
throuple,
whatever.
whatever, however you pronounce it, because Oreo and Grim hate each other. I can't see that mixing. They wouldn't put their
Listen,
differences
okay,
aside.
they could be a throuple, but they have a schedule. They aren't
You
gonna
have her
cross
during the day.
swords.
You have her
They're
during
not
the
gonna
day. I
cross
have her at
swords.
night. Pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they're not gonna cross swords. So they're just gonna be like, I'm gonna have her on Christmas. You can have her on Easter. Whatever.
You have her during the day. I get her at night.
Exactly. Yeah, they can work something out. and still be a thing.
Maybe. Okay. So she asked Lynx if he knew her dad, but all he did was blink. Isla wasn't sure if that was confirmation that he did. So she confides in him about the Oracle and how she's the only one who knows why he wants to destroy Lightlark, meaning Grim. She's the only one who knows about the sword, the only one who can open a door that rejected her already. Isla thought Lynx didn't care, but as she went to turn around and leave, he gives her a quick nuzzle. When she turned around, his head was bent low. He allowed her to pet down his nose. Her bonded didn't hate her. And I love that. Like I hope they like their bond gets better and like she doesn't feel like he only did it because of her mom.
Yeah.
She goes back to the vault. So standing outside the vault, Isla heard voices echoing inside. The closer she got, they became louder, more insistent. Something in her recognized something in the vault. It felt natural, so right. But the door remained closed. They now had only 26 days. Then she gets a vision. Her vision flashed before her eyes. She could almost smell the burning. This time, there were Drekks, confirming the Drek attack came from Grim. So Isla lets Oro know Grim has Drekks. She wasn't sure how they could stand a chance with their skin when their skin is nearly impenetrable. However you pronounce that big word.
You're right.
Oro tells Isla ever since the first attack, he's had his best team looking for a special type of ore. When weapons are made from it, it's said they could pierce the thickest hides. No one knows where the weapons are, if any of them had survived. So Isla asks who was looking for the ore and if they had any progress. And this may jump in a little bit, but when we go to the blacksmith's house, I wonder if it's that ore. Is it that type of ore? Because it was so sharp.
It's
Is that wait,
possible.
was it ore? What is it a type of ore?
Um,
I have it described in my notes when we get there, but I don't
okay. I don't know
just
now.
I don't remember if it was I didn't have this one in my notes and I'm like, wait a minute. Is that what they're looking for? But this wasn't a mine. Later on we do find out they're in a mine and it's kind of difficult to get to. So I didn't know if maybe it was the same stuff on Nightshade.
Yeah, I mean, it could be or something similar.
Oro tells Isla ever since the first attack he's oh wait, I already read that. Duh. Okay. Skipping. Okay, so Oro looked nervous but said it was time she met his other friends. Besides Inya, there was two men, a moonling cow and a skyling Zed. So when she
I
meets
like
them,
them.
yes, I think they're going to be like the characters, like the best characters in here. You got the one serious and the one funny one.
Yeah.
So when she meets them, Cal narrows his eyes at Isla, telling her she's the reason Oro doesn't see them anymore. But Enya says it's because he called him an uptight wretch and asked when the last time he bedded someone was. Oh, yes. Isla told Cal that she thought all moonlings were like Cleo, but Cal said some opposed her, some of them stayed behind. I'm assuming that's why Soren had stayed behind. So I guess that kind of puts two and two together. Like maybe he didn't like believe what she thought. Like he didn't stand
Yeah.
with her on her decision to leave.
See, and that's kinda what I thought too. I don't remember
Or
if I had said something like that on the previous episode, about why I thought he had stuck around, but I feel
or
like
I feel like he's the informant. Stuck around
I
to
wouldn't be
inform her.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised
Neither would I, but
that
the way
he would be a double agent, yeah.
yeah, like the way he portrays himself and could
I
be
mean,
wrong.
he's a dick and knows what he wants for his people and stuff like that, like, at the beginning, but I don't know, I could see him that's his home, like, if he didn't go to the Newlands, but he was, like, one of the people that stayed on Lightlark,
See, but
in the
he's
in between, then that's his home. Why, like, he he might not have sided with her and decided to stay and is like, no, like, this is my home. This is where I'm gonna stay, type
but
thing.
I'm pretty sure he's like her second in command type thing. Like you're in
That
my
don't mean
place when I'm not
anything.
where and I'm not
That don't mean
gonna
nothing.
I don't know
I'm
which
not
way I
saying,
want to land like with
yeah.
him
I
just yet.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, but I do think that, if he was her second in command and he was on Light Lark at all times, then, you know, if anything, he wouldn't want to leave. Little sweet. Sorry, he's in the background.
Cleo never trusted Cal, so he moved to Sun Isle before she cut the bridge. All three friends have Oro in common. He met Cal and Zed when he went to the Isles to train. Cal was the first in his class in most subjects, and Zed was the worst. Zed is more interested in thieving, mostly from Oro. He likes to prove Oro's guards' inadequacy every few years. Then Zed looks at Isla and says, "So you're a nightshade." Oro didn't tell him. The forest on Sky Isle turned to ash, while the place next to it looked like a palace garden. She confirms that she is Nightshade, and he was impressed because he didn't think she'd admit it. But Isla told him it is what it is. She can't control it. And then she points out that one of them, I don't remember which one, was created by a witch.
What?
Yeah, she mentioned something about like just like he can't help that something like where he's from or something was created by a witch. Let me find it here.
Oh, yeah. It is what I am. I can't control it more than you can control your dark blue hair, or he can control the fact that he was born in a realm ruled by a witch.
Yeah.
I think that was her like way of saying she's a bitch. She's a fucking witch. Like,
No.
you can't help where you come from. You're ruled by a witch. Like, I think that was a total dig at her. 100%. But
Cal told her to ignore Zed because he's just mad at Oro hasn't showed up to their weekly games. These are like man childs when it comes to Oro. Oro steps in, bringing up that they are at war and to stop interrogating Isla and talking about games. So Oro and Enya have the Sunling Forces training. Most are rusty, but their numbers are strong. Same for the Flight Force. Wildling warriors have volunteered and are training now. So Isla turns to Cal and asks if he's a healer. And I love his response that he's currently the best on the Isle because all the others are on Nightshade. And I'm assuming he's the worst. Like they applied like he's the worst healer. And that's probably why Cleo doesn't trust him. And that he's friends with the king.
100% the latter.
Wildlings are trying their best to make more of the elixirs. Starlings volunteered to fight, but their best contribution was creating a shield around the mainland. The shield would be small due to the limited numbers. Isla filled Zed and Cal in on Grimm being able to portal anywhere, and this like made their like faces drop and they paled because nobody knew that was his flare. They thought they were gonna come by Sky, but he can bring all of them at once. Until they figured out why Nightshade was going to attack, Isla was going to have the wildlings set up traps. They still haven't gotten any of the ore. Enya informs them they need it for making arrows for the Skylians. And then this was a big plot twist. Azul now joins the meeting, but they have a problem. Skylians want to leave Lightlark. So, but them wanting to leave Lightlark, is it them to go to the new land or is it them wanting to go join forces with Nightshade? It wasn't implied just yet, which they still have to vote. We're still waiting on the vote for
We're
it.
kind of like a peaceful people. Are his people like the peaceful people?
Mm-hmm. I think so because they vote on everything. Like it's a group
I
effort.
I see them wanting to leave to protect what people they have
Because
and
I
go
think
to the
they
new land and
know
decide to fight because they don't want to lose.
what they
Like
have.
they lost a good number of people just like the other ones did, but I think they to preserve what they have left. They just don't want to fight, but
I think they know too how who they're up against, like how powerful he is. And that's probably why they don't want to go up against them because they know they'll lose. Or they believe they will.
yeah.
But this makes Oro mad. He tells Azul they need them in the sky. Azul states he wants to fight, but it's not his choice. In the end, it's their decision. He spoke to them for hours, but doesn't believe their minds would be changed. If they lose the Skylines, they lose the war. Oro states that the vote will take some time, so they should operate like they are leaving. They needed more warriors, so Isla suggests the Venderlin, but Oro says no. He reminds her about how he watched them put an arrow through her heart, that they hate wildlings most, so Isla states she's not just wildling. Of course, he still says no. He believes it's reckless and they don't know if they're losing the Skylines. And maybe it makes him a hypocrite, but he just said to operate like they're losing the Skylines, and then he's trying to use it as, well, we don't know if we're losing them as his argument. You just told them to operate, so she came up with the solution. And you may not like it,
Exactly.
but you just said that. Like, kind of makes you a hypocrite. Can't use that as an argument, in my
Yeah.
opinion, at least. But Indian tells Isla he's blinded when it comes to her. He forgets his duty. She also told Isla she'd go with her to Vinderland. With Skylines mostly gone, Isla trained with Remlar any chance she could. This time, Remlar wants her to kill a Kingwood. It's seen all Centennials, Egan's rule, and his father's. But Isla refused. Her allegiance was to nature, not the darkness. She told him the tree did nothing. Who was she to end it for the sake of practice? So Remlar states, practice, I thought you needed answers. He tells her the tree does not care if she kills it. Excuse me, it will return as something better, something different. So Isla placed her hand against the tree, and then I have to where it was a lot to type. So let me find it here. Figured I'd quote it. Um, So shadows curled out of her chest, flowing through her, turning liquid. They unfolded and expanded until she tasted metal in her mouth, and then, through her fingers, there was energy, not only pouring out, but pouring in, something vital flowing out of the tree and into her. Then it states that it was delicious. Like gulping water after a day in the desert, Isla was suddenly desperately parched. The bark cracked beneath her fingers, split, shriveled. Branches and leaves fell and were ash before they hit the ground. By the time she was done, all that remained of the tree was a skeleton. And then life exploded out of her. Dozens of tiny trees, just saplings, burst from the ground. And then Remlar states that he was right. She's the only person living who is able to turn death into life. So I wonder who else could do that. Like, who from the past? Because there has to be somebody else if he states that she's
Well,
the only one
yeah.
living right now.
We learn we learn later on from the Venderland that there are stories of people like Isla who can walk that line between life and death.
Yes. And I want to know, like,
So,
exactly what they meant by that. And, like, and we'll get to it, but, like, what changed his mind after knowing that she's not just straight wildling?
I don't know, but maybe we'll maybe it's another thing we'll get some backstory on. Maybe that's why she's the key. Maybe it was much older to do with the vault. Like she's specific to unlocking the vault, uh, you know, obviously. And Um, maybe she's
She's
got
sweet.
more ancestors and everything or whatever that is tied into this, and whatever happened then involved a person like her. And I still think that the underbelly is a prison, and it's cracking because everybody is like, they were kind of torn apart with the curses. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that that weakened it over time. And now that the curses are broken and everything is fractured, relationships are fractured even more between each realm, that it's cracking open and it's starting to seep out. Like the ground
Mm-hmm.
split open and the fucking Drex came out. Like, and I don't think that's going to be the only thing. And I do think that
Oh
Isla
no.
is at the center of it. I still stand by the fact that I don't think that Grimm is anywhere at the center of it
I'm
the
so
way that they
borderline.
think he is. That they think that, not the way that they think that he is. I think that, I don't even know if I think that he's being manipulated again. I don't think that he's playing the part that they believe that he is, that he's coming after them for her. Like, I think that
I
he would
think
do anything to get her back, but I don't think that he would start a war for her.
think he's looking for the sword for what's coming. And I could
I
be
think so.
wrong.
I think so too. Um, I don't know. Maybe when he first started looking for the sword and maybe he had other intentions for it. Maybe he
Because
thought, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm going to overthrow Oro because he's obviously not doing something right. And maybe I could have a better plan. Or maybe he knew something just in general.
can't forget two of the oracles sided with Nightshade. So during his stay on Lightlark before the curses, did he learn something?
That's very possible. And I hope we find out.
I know this one seems like a lot of like memories, which we are getting ready to go into one.
Yeah.
I think it's the next one, not this one, but it's the third memory is like my favorite. I believe it's my favorite one. But going back to a memory, Grim shows up in the corner of her room, frowning as though he found every part of her disappointing. I don't believe it. I think he's disappointed in himself because he's attracted to her. I think it's more so on himself than her.
Yeah.
Uh, because Isla thought that he hated her, but she wasn't sure why. And she was raised to hate him. And I believe this is like that plan that was Celeste getting Tara and Poppy into it. So Tara and Poppy had to go maybe make it seem like they're the bad guys because of her father was Nightshade. Of course, at the time, she made it believe, that her mom or her dad killed her mom and stuff. But I don't think it has something to do with that. Like they raised her to hate Nightshade because part of the plan with Celeste.
Yeah. For
Because
sure.
she
Yeah.
had she had Grim on it too. So but she was taught Nightshades were the villains. Before they left, Isla tells Grim that if her guardians come in and she's gone, but before she could finish her sentence, Grim said that he was going to set an illusion in her room. So he portals them to the edge of a cliffside made of lustrous black rocks crudely puzzled together. And this is what I mean. Is like this like the type of ore? Because they were really sharp and stuff. So I could see like
Yeah.
if it is because maybe this would penetrate the hides of the Drex.
Maybe. Makes
Isla,
sense.
yeah, like could be wrong. Like it could be a whole totally different ore, but
I don't know. Maybe because he's such a brute, maybe the rocks are like kind of like a warning type thing. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't fucking climb these. Like, I'm gonna fucking die on these rocks if I slip and fall type thing to kind of deter people from even trying. I don't know.
right. Isla asks Grim where they were, And he said before they look for the sword, he needed to pay the creator of it a visit, but they needed to climb up the rest of the way. He warned her not to let the rocks cut her. But the rocks were slippery with rain. And this, he couldn't even bring her gloves like the ones he was wearing because he had gloves on, but he couldn't even bring her gloves. I think he wanted her to cut. For what we find out later on, I think he wanted her to get her hand cut, knowing it would happen. Because
Cool.
if you were that serious about her not cutting her hands, you would have brought her some gloves or told her to get some gloves.
Yeah.
And it fits with later on what we find
That's a
out.
fair point. That's a fair point
And
that
it fits where we find out later on though. And I have it in my notes here. But she climbed higher and higher. Her next move, her fingers suddenly slipped. Grabbing a rock desperately without caring about the sharp edges, she cuts herself, so blood then seeped down her hand. Tara would have told her that any climb could be broken into smaller steps, so she started up again. Before she could reach the final few rocks, strong arms pulled her up, careful not to drag her against the cliffside. Grim tells her, "You're an exceptionally slow climber. I should have left you behind." So
you need me.
yeah, they climbed at a sharp incline until up the hill a structure came into view. The blacksmith's house was no more than a shed made of the same stone that cut her hand. Grim's eyes found the blood and said, "You fool, he will try to kill you." And then he vanishes. He just like up and leaves her. So now Isla was alone, but her instincts told her to run. She knew the moment the creature entered the woods, knew there was a predator and she was being hunted. The forest dipped low and she lost her footing. Suddenly she was falling. Something was wrong with her shoulder. But her instincts told her to get up, but it was too late. Footsteps sounded close by, and he stepped right in front of her. Okay, so I didn't put exactly um what he looked like, but in my mind, I pictured. Have you played the Hogwarts game? The trolls. The big trolls you have to fight. So like this is what I
The ones in
pictured.
Hogsmeade.
The huge ones, yeah.
Oh,
That's what I pictured. What this guy looked like. The blacksmith leaned down. That was when Isla struck. She grabbed the dagger she always kept on her and stabbed him in the eye. Scrambling to her feet, Isla took a step only to realize something happened to her ankle, but she had to move. Isla spotted a fence that with the gate open, arrows flew past her, but she made it to the gate. She was able to close it. She ran her hands over its strange pattern. It was smooth, made of mismatched parts. The entire fence was of melted skulls and bones. Just then, the entire gate was ripped off its hinges. The blacksmith stood there with the dagger still in its eye. And then I had another quote. Um yeah, okay, here's his description. I didn't write it, but I put it. He was the most muscular man Isla had ever seen. His arms were enormous. He was holding a massive hammer that looked like it would go right through her body if she was hit with it. He had long, flowing black hair, skin the pallor of a corpse. To me, that was like the trolls from the Hogwarts game. That's that's what I pictured. So Isla scrambled back, hitting the wall that she had previously hit, which I didn't put in my notes before, and it spoke. "You can't have her, Baron. At least not yet." Baron asks, "To what do I owe the honor?" And Grim wastes no time saying, "Black diamond hilt, twin blades, you know the sword." Now, she has a ruby. Hers is ruby hilted. So is her the equal to this black,
ooh,
the black
that's a good
diamond?
question.
Because I'm pretty sure that was the one she used when her and Grim dueled in the forest. Was her favorite sword, and it's ruby hilted.
On you, I told you in book one that I was hoping to find out more about gemstones because they seem to play a big part
Well, we now, okay, so we were introduced with the ruby for her sword. Now we have the black diamond. So we'll have to keep this in mind. Uh, Baron says it's a very special weapon among his best work. Graham then says, You've sensed her blood. Can she help me find it? And this is where I believe he purposely made sure she didn't have protection so it would cut her hand. Even though he made it seem like you're a fool, he's going to kill you. Because he brought up about her blood being sent. So there's something special with her blood.
Yeah.
To which Baron says that she can help him. This is why Grim needed her. So Isla asks why Grim can't find it himself. The sword was cursed, so no Nightshade ruler can claim it. If the sword senses his ability, it will disappear. So Isla started to wonder why he couldn't force one of his people to search for it, which later on we do get an answer to that. Baron heard that decades ago it was stolen from a Skyling market. He sensed its return on Nightshade, but since then, nothing. Wherever it's at, it's slumbering. Grim wanted to know if there's anything else to know, but Baron, or the blacksmith, closed his mouth after looking at Isla. So this brings up, what does he not want her to know?
Yeah.
There is something that he needed to tell Grim that he doesn't want Isla to know. And that's why he just said there was nothing else. I need more on that.
Yeah.
Baron pulls the dagger out. Bending low, he handed it to her, but not before telling her, You weren't supposed to do that. Not quite fully sure what he totally meant by
I
that.
So it says you weren't supposed to be able to do that. I think he meant like he wasn't supposed to be able to harm him.
Mm.
And I think that right there is like a clue that she's way more special than they realize. Because at this point,
Well,
Grimm's like, you're a powerless ruler. Like there's something about you, but you're not that special.
I see. I think he has his suspicions, and I have it in my notes. Like, I think he already has his suspicions about her not having the curse and the powers. So, like, I think he's
Well, I
got those
think he tells
suspicions.
her. I think he even tells her that she's powerless. Like he knows that
Not.
she's
I don't.
powerless.
Not yet. I don't think not yet. I don't remember. Maybe it was one of the chapters I didn't do.
Yeah, I thought he already made a comment about
Maybe I
her
missed it.
not having power.
No,
Like, I
she
thought it was
he
in the previous chapters.
uh here in a little bit it says I have Grim then asks why she didn't use her wildling powers in the forest. That part?
Mm,
Because she lied
no.
telling him since he didn't portal directly to the house, then there must have been a reason. So that's where it brings up at this point, I believe he already suspects her being
Yeah.
powerless. Like I have that feeling. Um But kind of going back a little bit, Isla was angry, telling Grim that he almost got her killed, but he was there the whole time. He was just invisible, like a creep, lurking in the woods, watching her as she's getting like chased by this giant troll-like man. That's what I'm gonna call him. I wonder if we'll see
Creepy.
more though of Baron. I wonder if he comes like back into play.
He might. I
I
mean,
need to know what he needed to tell him.
ooh. No, I was gonna say maybe they'll bring him in to help with armor, but if
He's
I
on
don't really
Nightshade.
know who he's. Yeah.
He's on Nightshade Island, so Grim would use him.
Yeah. I don't know. She's a nightshade too. Maybe she could offer something that he wants and he could switch sides.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Um, There was something wrong with her shoulder and her ankle. Isa asked why he let him hunt her. Grim said he wanted to see how she would fare without him. He was curious. Again, I suspect he knows that she is powerless, so he wanted to see how she would handle it. And she's like confirming his suspicions. Because then that's when, he asks her about why she didn't use her powers. Um, so then Grim bites Isla's shoulder because it was out of socket, but there wasn't anything he could do for her ankle. Isla told him to portal them to her room. She would have to lie to Tara and Poppy how she hurt her ankle. And then he calls her witch, and I'm curious why he called her a witch though. Does he feel like she's bewitching him? Like he's got feelings for her and like he feels like he's being like
They are
bewitched.
seductresses. They are seductresses. Like, I feel like them being described as seductresses is they're like a siren. So,
Mm.
like, maybe he feels that she's using a power on him because he's attracted to her. So, that's what I think at least, because
He may
sirens are seductresses, so
and
or
he may
succubus,
think
whatever.
that he hates her, but he picked her out of the line. And that one chick's been there for four
His
times or something, multiple times. The one girl was there
Well,
multiple
obviously,
times and
she
kept.
just doesn't take the hint.
She's just
"Bitch, I don't
hoping
want
1 year.
you. Fuck off."
Isla wanted to know why the blacksmith had so many bones. Baron kills people with unique abilities and makes weapons from their blood and bones. So, who is the black hilted diamond sword made from if it's so special and powerless? When he senses blood nearby, he kills anyone he can find on the off chance they're useful. She wondered why he seemed desperate for her blood. Never stated why, but she does want to know why. So something special. Like, and she doesn't even know at that point because she didn't, didn't know she was Nightshade either, but definitely sensed something special with her. She also
Yeah.
wondered why Grim was the one looking for the sword. Voicing this all out, Grim got annoyed, telling Isla she talks too much. Excuse me. So she opened up to him that she doesn't usually have people to talk to. Grim says it's too important to tell anyone in his court. He can't risk sending someone else or trust them with his information. He's been betrayed before looking for this sword. I'm curious, who did he have
So,
helping?
is that no, I was gonna say, is that when it was stolen and one of them went rogue? Like, maybe he had them looking for it, but I think that was before he was searching for it. So, yeah, I wonder who would've and
I wonder if we'll find out
how long ago was he last searching for it? Was he
before
searching
her.
for it at the war? Was it the war? Was it more
No,
recently within the last 500 years that he was searching for the sword again and was betrayed? Like, I don't know.
I don't know either. I need a little more information. I'm kind of hoping we do get some more, on her memories. He doesn't trust her either. But he tells her if you have any desire to survive the centennial, you will not tell anyone in your court. But Isla didn't even know what her court was. Tara and Poppy were the only people Isla saw regularly. Isla brought up the blacksmith knowing what they're looking for, so Grim just said that he won't remember, and Isla asks why. Few people are foolish enough to visit him, and Grim took away his memories. It was something he could do, and it could be permanent if he wanted it to be. Isla thought Grim was insufferable, but it gave her something she longed for freedom. So she asked who were the best thieves on Nightshade. That's all my notes for this.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't really have anything to add to those 2 chapters. You hit
They were a
everything pretty
lot.
good.
It was a lot. Like the first chapter was like 14 pages, the next chapter was 10 pages. I'm like, ooh. And it's like one of those ones like where you can't skip out on too much information. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense and you're really not going to know like why you
Mhm.
think what you think and it would confuse you completely.
Yeah. Alright, going into the next chapter, premonition. So she's out of her memory. They still don't have any word from the Skylings on their boat to stay or leave Lightlark. Um, At this point, most of the wildlings are training while the rest are working nonstop to make more healing elixirs. And the starlings are creating special armor infused with energy, which I think is going to be awesome. And I kind of really, really loved this. And I kind of like this next part. And I kind of think I have a different way that my theory might go. Um, but next we have Isla going to Star Isle, and she asks Marin who the best wielder is and to take her to them. Marin deflects, saying that there are a few who
Mm.
are skilled, but Isla wants the best. She asks if Oro has changed his mind about only taking volunteer firefighters.
Oops.
Volunteer fighters. Isla tells her no, they just need the energy for the shield, and Marin wants it to be anonymous. So she promises not to tell anyone but Oro. Even before I read the next section, I'm like, I had a feeling it was Cinder. Just because she wanted them to remain anonymous. Like, why else would you want it to remain anonymous if
Right.
it's definitely somebody who has no business being that powerful or put into that position? She's just so little.
Yes.
Um, So Marin takes her to a field of craters that looked like stars had fallen from the sky and left their marks, and Cinder was smack in the middle of it. Streams of silver shot out like glittering ribbons, whipping against the crater's sides, piercing the rocks and slicing through it like butter. There were creatures that formed from the sparks, and they slithered, jumped, and flew around the crater, a dazzling display of power. Cinder wielded the power like a master. Everything she was doing was natural. Isla asked her who her teacher was, but she says she didn't have one. She'd been able to wield like that since she was 2 years old. And I had wondered if is it just something that naturally hits, or is it something to where like she might be of a ruling line, but was like never accepted, kind of like a side child or whatever. Like, I mean, I don't really know how they all die young. That it's something like a fling happened, and she just happened to be of a ruling line from so far back, and it just hit her in place of it.
I feel like she may like as when she gets old enough, like I could see Isla passing the ruling down to her
Yeah,
at a much like
that's
later
where,
time.
like, if anything, Marin is kind of like her
Guardian.
proxy. Yeah, her guardian proxy right now. And then once Cinder gets to a point like and she's old enough that maybe she would take it. Because, like, Isla makes a point that her wielding like this should not be possible since she isn't of a ruling bloodline to be able to be that powerful. Um, and then Isla tells Marin they need her to provide energy for the shield, and she promises to keep it anonymous. But I think now that Cinder's gonna play a much bigger role. Heaven forbid nothing happens to her.
I don't think there will
I will
be.
I will riot. I will riot.
I
Like,
don't think I don't believe there will be. Marin's
draining
too
of the power,
protective.
like using like what if she burns out trying to like what how are they gonna have her give energy for the shield? Is it just something like um Grim transferred power to the portaling stick, the star stick?
Oh,
Is that what she's gonna do? She's just going to give off some of her energy to power it?
I don't
Or is
know.
she gonna have to kind of like stay in an area to continuously
I don't
like
think she has to
give power
stay.
to it?
Don't think she has to stay. I don't think Aura would allow that. I think they just have to
Mm,
take that energy, like how they make the swords or like they make their weapons with their energy. I wonder if that's just all she has to do.
okay. I could be okay with that. So later that night, she tells Oro about Cinder, asking what he thinks of it, and he says she sounds like a very special child. He tells her that a few have existed over the years. They were even non rulers that were born with flares, and they often ended in tragedy. So I guess that kind of answers my question then, if maybe she was. But are some of those people that are born like that actually of royal blood?
Could.
Like,
Because we don't know
and
much
that's
about the
why some of
Starlings.
them. Mm-mm.
Only because the
We don't
only
know
one.
much about any of the realms, really,
See, and
like how they do things.
Celeste is the only one that survived so long because she didn't have that curse.
Yeah. She asks if he can protect her, and he tells her he could order an army to stay with her, and or he could have her come live in the castle, and asks Isla if she would like that, to which she says no.
She knows what
Um,
it feels like to be locked away.
yeah. Just then, as she steps forward, her vision goes dark and her limbs go numb, body folded over. She was in his arms before she hit the ground. It was her vision, clearer than ever. Darkness fell from the sky, cutting the night into pieces, pressing onto her skin, stuck in her lashes, howls, dregs, screams, people dying all around her. She saw Grim through it all, darkness touching everything but him. He was its source, looking at her, not at the dying around him, only at her, stalking forward with concentration that cut through her like a blade. A voice in her head said to run, leave, save yourself. Either she couldn't or she didn't. She stayed as darkness parted her lips and forced her to drink it. She tasted death on the back of her tongue, then her chest. Something was wrong, very wrong. She tried to fight it, but it was no use. In her vision, her organs started to shut down one by one. She felt every part of her withering away. She felt herself die. Oro held her in his arms. She had been screaming. Tears choked her words. She tried to tell him what she saw. Her vision was clearer, longer. She had only seen Grim's darkness before. Now she's seen how it ended. She tells him he kills her. Oro nearly set the room aflame, lip curling over his teeth. And I tried so hard to picture that. I was like, is it curling up or is it curling under? Because I'm like,
Like you got dentures or like you got no teeth in your mouth.
think about the suck dick. Just,
I'm leaving that in there.
I mean, like,
Whoop.
lip curling over his teeth, okay? She had never seen him look so murderous. He tells her they will kill him first as she falls into another memory.
I still
Okay.
I still can't make heads or tails on her visions and like why Grim would be doing what they think that he's doing. Like I can't make heads or tails yet.
No.
I am like so
Like
torn. There's a
this one,
reason.
yeah, this one really does make it seem like he is in the center of it. He's standing there, just like watching her. He's stalking forward with concentration and stuff, just solely focused on her. The darkness not touching him may not even be his darkness. Like she describes his shadows as coming from him, curling around his feet, like they're just it's emanating from him. If this is his darkness, it would be spread out, but she would be able to tell that it was coming from him. This darkness is not touching him.
Right.
So, even though it does say that he was the source, it's not touching him. I don't think that he's the source of it. I think that it's coming from something else.
But we learned though when they dueled, the shadows in the wildling forest just drew themselves to him. Like without him doing anything. They just automatically came to him.
But did they touch him or did they just stay around him?
So I don't think it said. It
That
just said that they wanted to like draw to him.
yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if I still think she's at the center of it somehow, but I don't think that I think I'm wrong as far as it being because of her. If the darkness is being forced into her, I don't think it's Grimm because I don't think he would do that. And I don't think that she would do that to herself unless that's like a this is what's going to happen to you. The darkness is going to overtake you and like her soul is going to die and it's not necessarily like her dying, but like
So you have an identical twin? He got a twin? Because he was always supposed to train as a warrior.
we
Who was
don't know
supposed to
that
come
he had a
after?
fucking brother or anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who was supposed to take after the dad? Like, after his dad would, like,
It's
not rule
never
anymore,
What if he
who
had a
was the
brother?
next in line?
What if he had a brother that was evil and he's locked in the underbelly?
Because he always stated that he was trained as a warrior, that he wasn't supposed to rule.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, you may live for a long time, but your dad can't do it forever. So who was next in line? I'm convinced he has a twin. I'm convinced he has an evil twin. There's always the evil one.
I don't know. All right. Going into her memory, Tara and Poppy had sealed the loose pane in her room. She had made up a story about her ankle. Tara screamed at her for hours on how foolish it was, which, I mean, let the girl live a little bit. Stop being a bitch.
I know. Gets her into trouble later
They,
on.
listen, the stricter you are with kids, the more
The
they're gonna
more they
fucking rebel.
rebel.
So, I mean, you gotta let them have a
Learn
little
for
bit of distance.
themselves. Gotta let them
Yep,
learn for
exactly.
themselves.
Uh, they wrapped her ankle in medicinal bark, trained her harder than ever, and it took her 10 days to walk normal again. She knew that he didn't do it out of the kindness of his heart. He needed her and she needed to figure out how she fit into his plan. And that was thinking about how he what didn't kill her that day. He bested her, but he let her live. Gotta stop saying okay.
You and me both.
I feel put more put on the spot doing this with going back and forth, but it's fine. I'll get
Saves
it.
us on notes, okay? That's a lot
It
of write.
does.
I'm gonna get
It
carpal tunnel from
it
writing.
does. It does. Why do you think I got to like the last 2 or 3 chapters? I'm like, I'm gonna fucking wing it with my post-its because this is I can't
A
do
lot.
this.
These are very informative chapters, though. Very
I need to
informative.
just when I do my notes, I need to just sit down and not write them out and then type them, but just fucking type them out because I can type really fucking fast.
Right.
But
I do both.
which I mean makes sense too.
I add my
I don't have
thoughts. Like
yeah.
I'll write them out,
I
and as I'm typing, I add my thoughts. Or sometimes I'll write my thoughts in my notes. That way, as I'm typing out, if I'm writing something down, oh, you know, why didn't I think of this? Like I add to it.
yeah. And I don't have time to sit down and write them and then type them. And like even like I said last night, I was like, I have game, I'm fucking finish. I'm not gonna be writing shit at the last minute and that didn't happen. Which it was totally worth it. Anyways, so I got baby love and I was good to go. So, all right. Grim appears in her room. The shadow's gone, crown and cape missing, which I kind of like that he put his power kind of like he pulled it in. Didn't have his little shadows oozing everywhere. It's stuff all over her stuff and it was very gentlemanly of him. Like that was like my first oh,
Oh no no no.
so this is what we doing now. Like that's where it started.
Oh
Like
no.
he's, that's
It started with him keeping the scar. It started.
oh yeah.
There is a reason he kept that scar because when we learned some of his past and that he has no scars from his past, he kept that scar for a reason.
But why? Why if he despised her
He
so much?
exactly, because he doesn't despise her so much.
But okay, so he can sense her feelings. He can read her feelings. And
He
I
knows it's
mean,
mutual.
obviously he yeah.
He
Yeah.
knows it's
So
mutual.
okay.
So
So yeah,
it
maybe
started.
that's why he kept it.
It started with that scar. I'm convinced that's why he kept it. It was because of her. It was from her. Why else? Why else? That's the only scar he has.
The blacksmith told them the sword had been stolen, and Grim told her that there was a notorious thieving group on the island. She was confused how he could be out at night when they portaled there, and obviously it's like dark as fuck outside. And I'm
Mm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
how the fuck did how did somebody fucking create this? He tells her that won't be a problem, that someone made him something that could help him, some sort of charm.
Now, does he wear this charm during the centennial? Or does it only work for so long? And who made it? Who is so powerful to make it?
Because at this point, we have not Celeste, Aurora, they haven't come into the picture yet. She has not voiced any sort of
Mm-mm.
concern about her. So obviously it wasn't that. But yeah. And those were a couple things that I hadn't like, who made it, who was powerful enough, whatever, and stuff. I'm just like, how the fuck did somebody outsmart this 500-year-old curse and
Mm.
fucking create something that allows him to be out at night?
I just want to know how long did it last and if he had it at the centennial. And is that why he gave her the necklace? Oh, wasn't the necklace black diamond?
I just know it's black.
I'm gonna have to go back through my notes on that one.
I don't remember.
I don't know if I have notes. I don't remember when he gave it to her. Do you remember when he gave it to her? I don't remember.
No. Uh, it was during that ball, just before his vision come to life, his illusion come to life.
It was before her and Oro started working together. You can
Yeah.
continue with your notes. I'll look for this. I don't know if I have it in my notes.
Okay. So they take a boat to their destination. She tells him it's surprising that his flare is portaling. He can go anywhere without lifting a finger, yet he can climb quickly, paddle well, and is muscled. Which I thought was funny that she had to point out that he's muscled. And he goes, "Are you oogling my body, heart eater?" Like, that little banter was
He knew
funny.
what he was doing.
Asking him why he kept up with his fitness regimen, he tells her he doesn't solely rely on his powers, which I think is smart because, obviously he had to have known about Wild Isle to where he was not going to be able to use his powers. So if it ever come down to it, he was going to be much more skilled than being able to just rely on his powers. Okay. They make it to where they're going, and he tells her he won't save her if it comes down to her or the sword. He'll find a way to get it without her. He tells her, what?
No, what?
Oh, I was like, wait a second, what? Okay, so he tells her that they look for the sword, but if they don't find it, then they get information. I was confused. I was like, he tells her they look for the sword. Like, why wouldn't she know that they're looking for the fucking sword? But I forgot. Like, he tells her they're gonna look for the sword. But if they can't find it, then they're gonna find information. I just had a brain fart. It's fine.
I'll have to look for this here later because I don't know. I'm pretty
I was
sure I know
even
it was
trying to
black.
go. Yeah, I was even trying to go back to the beginning where the paragraph where it's talking about how she has tried to take it off
Yeah,
and
she
that it
can't.
doesn't work, to see if maybe it briefly like recaps what it looks like, because I recap a lot. They recap a lot and everything from book one at the beginning
Right.
chapters. I didn't know, but I don't remember where it was. Grim takes the top floors. She takes the bottom. There wasn't any noise in the hall, so she crept along. She didn't hear the guy until the nightshade until the blade was at her throat. She takes him down, and there were two more. She reached for her blade, and they reached for theirs. And then I put they fight because that's all that they do.
Yeah.
They fight.
She she kills her first
Um,
person.
yeah, which I kind of felt bad, but it had to happen eventually. I mean, you're a
Right.
wildling. You're supposed to have notches on your belt for fucking killing people at this point. That blow come out of nowhere. She was struck in the middle of the head. He could have killed her, but he tells her he'll keep her. He likes them with a little fight, which was fucking.
Ugh,
I got the ick immediately after reading that.
he
She
deserved
gets
it.
up, charges at him. Yes! Yeah, he did. She gets up, charges at him, shoving them both through the window. Then he melted into ash. Grim standing behind them, she retched, asked Grim if he found it. He tells her no, but he found him. He had a nightshade bound and gagged on the floor somewhere next to him. I think there was a little bit more detail to the guy turning into ash, but
Yeah.
oh, he just screamed for half a second before his entire body melted into ash beneath her. And then she inhaled some of it. I kind of like puked in my mouth reading
Ugh.
that. It was kind of gross.
Yeah.
He asked the guy again where the sword is and told him he had hoped he wouldn't need to get his sword dirty, and cuts his hand off, and then told him that his limbs are next. He pleads to Grim, asking if he tells them, will Grim let him go? Grim nods and he asks if he swears it, so Isla agrees. The guy tells him it hasn't been seen in decades. They stole it, but one of them went rogue. He took the sword and lost it to someone else, and only he knows where it is. He's been seen near Cretan's Crag. He has a snake and takes it everywhere he goes. Then Grim slits his throat and tells her it gets easier, and there's a celebration on Cretan's Crag in 2 weeks, and he'll be back then. I kind of summed all of that up at the end because I felt like there was a lot of in between. She cries because he promised. He says, "No, you promised," and
I mean, he's not wrong.
not not to
He's not
cry over
wrong.
the filth's death, and so. And I do agree, he deserved to die, and knowing that he was happy to do it is fine by me. So
Okay, so going into the next chapter, we are back in the present. Oro tries to reassure Isla, telling her that Grim will not kill her. He will rip him limb from limb before he hurts her. Isla wants to know if she dies that Oro can take her powers and save the wildlings and the starlings. Oro again tells her she will not die, but he should be able to. She tells Oro she's going to see the Venderlands with Enya, and he needs to be okay with it. Before she left, Oro places a starling shield on her, formed onto her as closely as her clothes. It's not invincible, but it will stop an arrow. Then they have a heavy makeout session where Enya has to be like, hey, I'm still here, and put a stop to it before they went any
excuse
further.
me, get a fucking room.
Okay, so now then we jump to arriving to the Vinderland area. Isla wasn't sure how they survived out here, but ever since the Moonlings left, Moon Isle had gotten warmer. Isla asked Enya if she was afraid, but Enya said no. She then told Isla something only Oro, Cal, and Zed know. Enya knows exactly when she'll die. The day Enya was born, a moonling sent for her mother. The oracle wanted to see her. The oracle told her mother she had seen her death, When she was old enough, her mother gave her the option to know when and how she dies and not to know. Enya says Oro doesn't know when she'll die, but when they were younger, she believes he wanted to know so he could stop it from happening. Enya thinks of it as a gift because she can live each day to its fullest. I feel like it's the war.
It could be. Which there goes my whole like if her and Oro don't get together, that he'll end up with Enya.
Now that we know this information, I feel like it's the war.
It could be.
And I could be wrong again, but I feel like she tells Isla all of it because she's not afraid. She does not die today. A flurry of arrows struck Isla but ricocheted off, um, thanks to the Starling shield. Then there was a battle cry. Isla leaped to the side as an axe was thrown at her body. The blade missed her by inches. One Vinderland man stared at Enya, stating she'd make a lovely stew, charred and zesty. Ugh, disgusting. So, and
Yeah.
I think that described that his teeth were like sharpened into blades.
Who do I so I'm a supernatural nerd and I've seen like every fucking episode. And on the show, their vampires, I believe, all have jagged, pointy teeth, not
Mm.
just like fangs. It's like all pointy, jagged, and that's kind of like what I pictured.
You know who I kind of
I'll send you.
pictured?
I'll send you a picture of it.
Kakamuras.
Huh?
The Kakamuras. Moana. The little coconuts. That's who I pictured these as these looking. And I know they're like people, but for some reason I picture the coconuts from Moana.
I could see that.
It's strange, but it works in my head that way. I don't know.
It's like I don't know if you can.
Oh yeah, I see.
Like they're all like pointy, jagged. Like,
That's
that just
small.
made it so much worse.
It
But
made it so
yeah,
much
all
small.
their
I saw it.
so that's what I pictured as like the Vinderland with their teeth.
Yeah, I pictured the little coconuts with like fur, like little gremlins. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't get the coconuts from Moana out of my head. Uh, so Enya sets him on fire. Isla flung her arms to the side, and trees sprang up from the ground. The Vinderland went still. A towering man stepped forward. He asked Isla if she thinks she'll be able to escape death a third time. To which Isla replied, "With your help, I hope so." She lets them know that what the oracle said and that the moonlings left and joined Nightshade. Isla tells them they need them. They need every warrior on the island to defend it, but he said no. Then he grips his battle axe and aims for her head. Her focus wavers and her shield fell away. The moment Isla touched the blade, it turned to ash, which then puts her into another memory. And this is by far my favorite memory. One of them. So Isla often waited up past midnight in case Grim made an appearance. He never came. That night, when she was sure Poppy and Tara were sleeping, she portaled herself to the other side of the wildling Newland. Something in her burned. Her only friend was Celeste, who was angry at her because her visits were infrequent and Celeste had noticed. Isla thought one step out of the woods, a few minutes walking around the village couldn't hurt, but just as she was about to step out of the forest, a hilt of a sword hit her.
I wonder if this is where like in the next because since we were getting more frequent, like every other chapter for this stretch of chapters was a memory, if this is where Celeste lets it slip and she becomes suspicious of her and brings it up to Grim.
Which part?
The so remember
Oh,
Grim tells her that Isla had become suspicious of Celeste, so he went to visit Celeste, and that's when he found out it was Aurora, and she brought him in on this plan or whatever, so then he was playing her. So, like, because she's getting mad because her
Mm,
visits are becoming more infrequent, like, is this, like, gonna lead to, in the next few memories, what is suspicious, like, what gives her away
I thought
type.
maybe it was the gloves.
See, I feel like he would have already, like, he would have visited her.
See, but
But
Isla
I guess
doesn't
when I go it
know.
from his point of view, yeah, that would be a him point of view.
Right? Yeah, Isla doesn't know that they knew each other. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. When Isla woke up, her hands were tied behind her back and her feet roped together. There were voices talking about starving and how there hasn't been hearts in weeks. Tara and Poppy never mentioned a shortage of hearts. When the women left the room, Isla was kept in. She saw her chance. Her restraints were tied tightly. She then realized they hadn't found her star stick. She tried to reach it, but she was a few inches away, or she was a few inches short. The women were back, noticing Isla awake. She tried telling them they didn't have to do this, but one of them stuck a gag in her mouth and produced a dagger. Isla realized she should have told them she was their ruler, but she was worried about revealing her identity. Now, I wonder if these two women were the part of the group that stood off to the side because they did things that they regret
Oh.
to survive, or at least one of them, because the other one was kind of like, oh, she's a wildling, was hesitant, and the other one's like, no, we're starving, we have to do this.
Yeah,
So I wonder if either one of them were part of that group that was off
maybe.
because they had to do things they were
And they
ashamed of.
recognize her, maybe, yeah, and maybe because if they are the ones that did that to her, they're like, "Okay, we're not gonna get close because what if she fucking, like,
We about killed our
points
ruler.
us out and we're about to, what if she kills us for what we did, not knowing that she doesn't remember, like, at this point." So I wonder if she'll, you know, do her like, "I forgive you. I didn't understand fully what was going on at the time, and,
Or they could have been
I'm
ones
sorry
that
things were so bad."
or they could have been ones that had passed because the shortage of the hearts.
Yeah.
Then the woman starts carving it through her chest. The wildling kept sawing through skin and tissue. When the blade went deeper, Isla arched, allowing her to grip her star stick. Drawing her puddle of stars, Isla hurled herself off the table and was gone. She then is bleeding out in the middle of Grim's room. Grim raced across the room, pulling out her gag, and Isla told him she couldn't go home. Grim calls her fool, but asks who he's killing. And this is why I think feelings were starting to fully develop because
Yep.
otherwise he wouldn't have said, who am I killing? After seeing the
Mhm.
state she is in. He couldn't figure out why she wouldn't stop bleeding. And again, he has, I think this is where he's really starting to get his suspicions because she's not healing like she should be.
Yeah.
But Isla needed him to get her healing elixir out of her room. Next minute, Grim was gone, and then he reappeared with it. Pouring the liquid on her chest, Isla screamed. Grim left again, but returned with a mug. It had sugar that will keep her conscious. He tells her that he could kill her 1,000 ways, but poison would not be one of them. Then we learn that her drink was just melted chocolate. She asks, yeah, their little special thing. Is that why he took her to the shop to get those chocolates to help
I think
resurface
so.
a memory? She asked him if he had anything to take away the pain. She asked if he had Nightbane. In a voice that chilled the room, he said, "You will never know Nightbane. It's a drug that makes you the happiest you've ever been and takes away the suffering, but it slowly kills you." Grimm says pain is useful. And I love that we get like this little bit on his past. Like he opened up to her.
Yeah.
And if he truly hated her, he would not open up to her. Point taken. Grimm says pain is useful. He opens up a little to her. When he was 7, his training consisted of being cut and skinned until there was barely any flesh left on his back. It was a custom meant to strengthen the body and mind. The place he trained as a warrior punished you in public. It was a chance to prove they didn't react to pain. When Grimm's father would come to watch, it was an honor to show him he had no reaction to pain. So Isla tells him, "You know that sounds awful, right?" To which Grimm says that's why it doesn't happen anymore. Isla noticed he has no scars. Again, he kept her scar for a reason. And asked if he had a moonling healer or if Cleo is helping him. But instead of answering, Grimm told Isla she should leave.
There is something.
Yep.
Was he the father of her baby?
I don't. Was it his twin brother? Does he got that twin brother?
I don't know.
Cousin? Somebody?
Did he try to work with her to find this sword
Ooh, she the
and
betrayer?
she betrayed him? I don't know.
Hmm. But it was never confirmed nor denied if
Because
it
of
was
course
Cleo.
she's because she's a fucking betrayer as it is. So I mean,
Mm-hmm. She only thinks of
which
herself. So yeah, something's up with that. In the middle of the
yes.
night, Isla woke up to Grimm sitting across from her bed watching her like a little creep that he is. Not really, but okay. I can't, like, if I send
It
somebody
is
staring
fucking
at me,
it's sweet. Like he wants to make sure she doesn't die, but it's only because he fucking needs her.
listen, after seeing a ghost stare at me, yeah, you, no. It's creepy. Like, I can sense when somebody's looking at me and I'm dead asleep.
I always feel like somebody's watching me. So it is creepy. I get it. Yeah, it's creepy. But it was kind of sweet, you know. He would make sure she didn't die, but it's for
Yeah,
ulterior motives.
he was making sure she doesn't bleed out in his sleep. And then he had to like make up some excuse because about her being an investment or something like
Yeah. It would be
um
an inconvenience.
yes, if she died. Isla tells him she was fine and he could leave. But in grim fashion, he says, "Your death would be most inconvenient. I'll stay a little longer." She's no good to him dead. So Isla couldn't sleep, so Grim told her he should have let her heal at his palace. I mean, you kicked her out pretty much after she asked the question.
Yeah.
But Isla hated it because it was dark. There was no color. And then I love how he told her sorry for getting her window closed up. Someone has a soft spot if
Yeah.
he's telling her sorry. Um, so Isla asked Grim if he created her device, how did it get to the wildlings? He wasn't sure, so she asked if he knew her mother. But Grim hasn't met a wildling since the curses. I'm assuming Violet. I'm assuming it's going to be Violet that he
Yeah.
knew. And then Grim believes Isla tricked him. If he knew who she was, he'd never had touched her, so he asked why she was there. And then I have a quote here. She says, "I accidentally portaled there with the star stick. It wouldn't work, and I was chased by your idiotic group of guards. The head woman grabbed me, and the next thing I knew, I was in that line." So Grim says, "I should take that thing away from you. All it's bringing you is closer to death." So she goes back, "You could try." And I love, like, this is where their banter starts that we had seen in book 1.
Yeah.
And then Grim tells Isla he can feel flashes of emotions, and that hers were very, very clear that night, just as they are now. That's all I had for that one.
Oh. Wait, what did you end with?
About her emotions. That he could feel that they were very, very clear that
Mhm.
night, just as they are now. Like that he did not disgust her.
So you're not going to point out that
Did I
she
miss
tells
something?
him, "Your powers are wrong." And then he
Yes.
tilted his head at her. She watched his eyes move from her collarbones to her neck to her lips.
I didn't put that. Dude's got feelings for her.
Like, he wanted to take her right then and there.
He doesn't
She's
hate her.
vulnerable in her bed. He wanted to take her, but he
I
didn't.
totally skipped that part.
So I
Okay, and I
respect
lied.
that.
The last chapter we read, the before chapter, is also one of my other favorites. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So, chapter Line Between Life and Death. Isla wakes up from another memory as if no time had passed. She wondered if her nightshade powers were getting stronger. Like, that was a lot of information in that memory and stuff. Um, that for it to be like literally no time has passed, like she demolishes this guy's axe, has a memory, and she's still like
Frozen in time.
nothing happened. She didn't collapse. She didn't do anything. Like she was just standing there. And it reminded me of that separation where she would be doing stuff and
No.
she'd be like,
It's like,
"Oh
ooh.
my god."
Where she had her
That's what I
vision.
pictured. That's exactly how I pictured like a transition with this memory with like no time passing, just still in position. Um Frozen in front of her, she had just demolished his weapon with what? Hold
Do you
up.
not know what you
Oh,
wrote?
I I put she had just demolished his weapon with a single weapon, and I was like, "That's not how the sentence went." She demolished his weapon with a single touch. He asks what she is. She's wildling, and she replies, "I'm more than that." She tells herself she will not die today and tells them they're going to join them in battle, or they will all perish. He says, a wildling who is also a nightshade. He reached for another weapon and held it in the air. She raised her sword and they clanked loudly, a warrior's handshake. I thought that was going to go really badly and he was going to try to kill her again, but I really liked that it went the way that it did. He introduces himself as I put Ingrid, but it's Singrid, I think. Like I don't know, Singrid. She's she's surprised and asks, "You will fight with us." He tells her they will fight with her, and she tells him he just tried to kill her moments ago. He apologizes and says he should have known she survived an arrow to the heart. They have stories about people like her, ones that stand on the line between life and death. She asks him how many of them there are, and he tells her that there are hundreds, but most of them cannot fight because they have a sickness that has spread over the last few decades and has incapacitated most of them. And I'm curious as to what the sickness is. Like, is it one of those that like affects them because they're not connected to power? So they're like
Oh.
immortal. They're not immortal like some of the other people. They are mortal. And so they're affected differently by sickness because they don't have healers or, the things that the people with power are exposed to. So they kind of are like a third world
Mm.
type of, community versus like your first world or whatever community. Okay. Isla asks, "What if we can heal you?" And he asks if they have a healer. She says yes and asks if they can recover in time if they would fight. He tells her that they are all trained. They leave saying they'll be back. If she found a way to heal them, then she had a legion, which I think is exciting for them. And especially because they're fighting for her. So it's like her army. It's not anything that's connected to Lightlark
Right.
itself. It's her own. Just like the wildlings are kind of like so separate from Lightlark for the most part. Like they don't have, Wild Isle is dead. Nobody lives there.
Right.
So they're kind of like their own area that's all her and stuff. Even the starlings are kind of like, okay, you're our ruler. We don't have anybody else because they're so young that even then it's kind of like, well, we're part of Lightlark. Like, we're going to protect them. We're going to fight for Lightlark, not just fight for you type thing. She asks Calder if he can help, asking for sure if he is a healer or not. Zed says he's the worst. Enya shoots him a look, saying they know he's not the best healer, but he's who they have, and Isla may have exaggerated his skill set.
Oh,
She has an idea that maybe they can boil the flour and make it into a tea, and then maybe that could help them as well. Calder agrees, and she tells him and Zed about the star stick, and they all go through the portal. She shows them the flower patch. Calder tells her they are magnificent, and she had never seen them in their original form, but they were a deep violet color with sharp petals, beautiful and vicious. Wren tells them the flowers are so rare that they only use them in emergencies. They've never tried them on sickness. They've only been able to find a few more additional patches, so they don't have very many to spare. But we don't really find out how much time has passed since the last time she had gone there and put
mm-hmm.
them on the search for more of the flowers. So I'm also wondering if it's going to be in a spot that nobody goes around. Like, they don't go near that one part with the creatures where she
Right.
went to be bonded. Like, that was a sacred area. You only go over there to get your bonded, whatever. That maybe they're in an area kind of like how her and Oro were underneath in that cemetery and there were those flowers
Oh,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. That maybe it's in an area that's like that, but they're going to end up finding an abundant supply.
Wild
Or
Isle. Is there
she can
some on
only grow
Wild?
that.
Is there
Maybe it's
some
not
somewhere
all
on? Right.
maybe it's not all dead, or maybe when she brings it to life, it just kind of is something that is brought back or
Yeah.
whatever. Um Okay, so she tells them that they can just test a few, and if they see meaningful results, they can determine how many more they would need to heal all of them. In this next part, I was kind of confused because they don't say much more about it. So, like, is it a normal thing? They didn't, there's nothing about a reaction, but when Ren began to pluck the flowers, the moment they were pulled from the ground, the color became darker, almost black. So,
There's
like,
more
is
to those
that
flowers.
that's what I wonder. Like, but nobody reacted like, "Oh my gosh, why does it do that? Is that a normal thing?" Like that, I don't know. So then a rustling comes from the woods, and Zed froze, looking up and up, reaching for his weapon. Isla tells him, "Don't you dare. It was just Lynx." She missed him and jumped as high as she could and put her arms around his neck, but he was not pleased by that at all and shook her off. I thought that was funny.
He didn't want the
They
attention.
They all gaped at her and said he's the biggest cat they've ever seen. She tells them that he's a leopard. They don't think he's a leopard, but if you squint enough, you can see his
I
patterns.
had that in my notes because later on, I think it was Zed says leopard and it's italicized. So is he really a leopard? He's the only one of his kind.
No.
She
Yeah,
took it.
because they ask if he's more of them, or if there's more of them, and Oh, so she goes, "More of what?" And then he motioned at Lynx, "Your leopard," and that's when it's in italicized. So
Mhm.
he doubts that it's an actual leopard.
And he might
Um,
not be. He may have the resemblance to a leopard, but he may be his own type of like species.
yeah. Okay. And then they all go back to Lightlark. They have a plan, and that night Isla falls into another memory. Not thinking, let's see, it says, as Isla fell into another memory that night, though she couldn't help but think it still wasn't enough. What wasn't enough? Their plan wasn't enough? Is
I think like
that,
I think with the warriors, like adding the warriors or the Venderlands with I think she believes it's still not enough because they could be losing their sky force. Like they need people up
yeah,
in the sky to help with the Drex if the Drex are coming. They don't have that if the Skylings leave. I think that's what they meant there is like
going into her next memory? Grim was gone the next morning. Her chest still burned in pain, but the healing elixir had worked. Um, And then that night, he appears again after her training. He tells her that if she insists on keeping the device and using it, then he can teach her how to not be an idiot or he will take it back. He
this
takes
is
her
my
to a training room
favorite.
at the palace. He tells her the first thing to know is that the device is unreliable. He didn't pour that much power into it. Um, which obviously we were kind of learning that it was definitely unreliable. It was just not consistent with it.
Why was it made in the first place? Why was it made in the first place?
I think it was made for the fucking guard.
But he doesn't know her father. Or no, it was her mother. He doesn't know anything about her mother. Wouldn't he have told
Maybe the
her, I made it for your
maybe
dad, or I made it for somebody to go see
maybe
a wildling?
I don't know. Maybe the guard had it made for her, for the mom. I don't know. Maybe she'll ask him, "Why the fuck did you make this?"
Yeah, because I want to know. I'm nosy like that.
He Yeah, really. He tells her around
Mhm.
other portaling ability, it won't always work, which we fucking know. It's
Yeah.
all about visualization, and that's why she believes she can't go anywhere she hasn't already been. He tells her that maps help. It's easier to go places when you have a sense of the distance in relation to other locations. Short distances require far more control, and control is developed through practice. She drew a puddle, visualized the other side of the hall, and landed on dark volcanic sand, tide washed in, soaking her. He tells her she overshot a bit and to try again. She then appeared in his bedroom, and he told her the training room was one room over. She questions where his nobles were and how often he sees them. He tells her to close her eyes and focus, and she was able to do it this time. He tells her that her swordplay is tolerable, but her defense needs work. She tells him her guardian is an excellent teacher, to which he asks if she's ever seen war, and she says no. So he tells her that there are a lot more lessons that she can be taught because, which makes sense. I mean, if you're going to teach somebody to fight,
Right.
like, you gotta be able to, like, if they can hold their own with fighting, with their technique and their swordplay and everything, like, they gotta be able to defend themselves. And obviously, she couldn't do that. So I kind of just summed most of this up by they go through some techniques, and each time he tells her she's dead. Like, he bests her and like everything that they do. She does her best to cut him. He gets her again. He tells her she's very dead that time. And by this point, she wants to cut him into pieces. And she manages to cut a rip into his shirt and gets a little cocky, gets knocked on her ass. And then he tells her that sometimes the opponent will let you get a hit in and tells she tells him that she gets it. He can kill her a number of ways, even with a sword. And he tells her to always go for the nose. And then he tells her the celebration is 3 days away and to do him a favor and not die before that happens.
I think that was like one of my favorite ones because, again, if he so much as despised her, he would not have taken that time to train her with the star stick
Yeah.
or how to fight properly better than what she does now. Like, he knows she's
Yeah.
a good fighter, he knows that she could get better. So I love that he trained her. So that was like one of my
I
favorite ones.
I'm still torn with how I think most of this is gonna go.
I know. I can't make, like I said, I can't make heads or tails of why he's doing what as right now what they believe he's going to do because we don't know if he truly is going to do that. My hopes are that there is an evil identical twin that we don't know about, but that's like far-fetched. It's like a far-fetched idea.
Part of me thinks that would be too
Obvious.
stereotypical. Yeah.
Obvious. Have a long lost brother.
Yeah. Like we've already got a love triangle going on. Let's just throw in a more evil, sinister twin, older brother, whatever. Like unless maybe he was trained because like his dad was not gonna die for a really long fucking time and just
Yeah,
wasn't gonna take.
but you would think that he would have some type of knowledge to rule for that just in case. Like maybe you should
Yeah.
also know this on top of your training for a just in case. Nobody knew the curses were going to get spun, but you should have a
Oro
backup
didn't
plan.
have Oro had a little bit of training as far as
See, but
being
Aura's
royal, but
royal.
he was in the same. So was Grimm. Grimm was an heir. He just wasn't the heir. Aura was an heir, but he wasn't the heir. Egan
See, that's what
was.
I'm saying. Who is
Aura was the
before
spare.
Grimm?
So Aura was
Who
the
is
spare, so
before?
Grimm is the spare.
Who's before
So yeah.
Grimm? Did he have a sister? Does he have a sister? Does he have a brother? Who was supposed to go before him?
I don't know, but we better find out.
I need to know. It's a far-fetched idea, but I like it. Okay, so thank you for joining us this week on Chapters Over Coffee. Join us next week where we discuss pages 237 through 290. So another big section where we'll probably get like information overload again. And hopefully more memories.
Yeah.
And I believe like their relationship will get closer. But I think we're in for a ride. Something's gonna happen and we're least expecting it.
So yeah, in this stretch chapters, it's another
Or
chapter. Uh present day, past. Present day, past. So we get 4 more memories in this stretch of chapters. So
good, good, good. I want answers.
yeah, because in the last stretch of chapters is like 300 or 330 to,
They're smaller.
but there's, yeah, I'd, first 8 might be normal, but then literally the last 8 are like super quick. And that's why that one will be kind of like a 2-for-1 combined episode. No sense in us going back and forth for just 1 page of reading.
Yeah.
So might as well just,
We can maybe do like three, or 4, 4, We'll come up with something
yeah.
for that one.